Okay, so here I am back with my slipping coaxial movement nut problem. First thing I tried was I spun up some collars. That one doesn't fit, but I've got some loose ones that fit. I tried a real short one. This adds even more motion. I tried a longer one, which I currently have sitting somewhere off to the side. But then I started fitting some stuff that until I got annoyingly tight. I mean, this has very little I can get. It has a tiny bit of rotational axial movement, but man, it doesn't have much. It's a, you can hear it on the threads there. There's enough play in these threads that it's fighting it a little bit. So this is a tight fitted ring and it's huge. I think it's 1.5 inches, if not inch. It's inch 450 at least, but I believe that's, it's not even worth measuring. It's a lot bigger than any barrel nut. It's bigger than an action. So I'm putting this in to the same fixture again while we have it here. Obviously I sped it up a little. Now it's hard for you to see this maybe, but that little tiny bit of play inside that ring has been magnified. I'm going to bring this up. This is so fascinating to me. I'm going to bring the camera right up here. Now let's get some focus, I think. You might try it on manual and auto because I'm in a really kludgy position here. I'm new to this camera thing and I can't really even see my monitor, but I think you can see, and I'm going pretty tight here, yet I'm easily able to get, so that ring idea was a complete and total waste of time. It mapped out on paper. In my brain I thought, well, if I could put a tightly fitted ring up against the action face that cannot rotate. Unfortunately, the amount of rotation it takes to get that coaxial action, and by the way, just to show you what that coaxial action is doing, let me show you the end. I mean, I think you could already see it. There you go. It's huge. I think to me, this is still going to be considered an insurmountable problem. I have done my last nutted action of this juncture. Let's see, I'm going to put it on auto again. Just to illustrate, this is, in the last segment I showed how I threw this fixture on here as a barrel nut. It's threaded like a barrel nut. It's perfectly faced. It's actually for setting cone angles inside of glue ends. It's got a 30-degree pitch inside of here, and this particular one is sized for a certain action. And I screw it down against the shoulder, and then I burn down until I match that. But I'm using it as a barrel nut. I don't see any. Hopefully some of you will see this and go, hey, you forgot such and such detail. Hopefully because I've got a whole pile of barrels done with barrel nuts. I recently built a PPC light gun on a Nuvo, and I built 3 brand spanking new barrels for it, all done with barrel nuts. All because I had heard that barrel nuts were okay. And they might still work on that PPC, but looking at that joint right there, I will tell you that in the future, I haven't done a lot of nutted stuff anyway. It was just my latest, newest, greatest, yeah, this could be so cool. It allows me to tighten down, and then this ring has the added facility of when I have the, I can clamp the barrel in a barrel vise, put an action wrench on the barrel nut, and I can leave the action hanging in space, if you can picture that, and I can crank this up and drive straight into the action, and with this little thing in place I could even get straight lateral pressure against the action face, if we call this the action face. So that we're not even scrubbing, we're not even tearing up the front of that action face if something's not perfect. Because even a barrel nut, when you tighten it, is scrubbing against that surface. And I grease them. I've never messed one up. I've never even made a mark on one. But I thought, well, if this fix works, but unfortunately, this fix is precisely no better. I'm sure you can see that movement on the camera. It's as though there was nothing there at all. Now I can tighten it to where it's really, really hard to move, but I can still move it. I'm cranking up and down to maybe 10 pounds of pressure on this other end, 15. Grunting and moaning here, but I'm just showing that I'm forcing that movement, but I'm still getting it. Still getting that movement right there from the barrel nut. And just while the camera's there, I guess bear with me, I'll throw another barrel back in there, just a regular barrel. So here's a conventionally chambered barrel, conventionally shouldered barrel. This one of the ones I just did in the video 10 minutes ago was inch 235 or something. The other one's inch 2. An inch 25 does even better. An inch and a quarter is the norm for this. Come on, baby, start. Those are some tight threads. This is a tool, a gauge, so it needs tight thread. Well, it doesn't need anything. I just made it with pretty tightly fitted threads. Okay, come on, huff and puff. Tighten her down. Okay, so we're just gonna go. No. And there is just simply, I can get it when it's loose, but you can actually see that it's a pinching action. You'll notice that that gap is closing. I just finger tighten that gap closed, and it pretty much, right now I can get just I'm wiggling my end, and I can feel the motion of the rear threads ticking a little. I give it just a little more, and that's gone. That joint is locked. That joint has no coaxial movement at all. It doesn't have any coaxial movement in the first place. As you can see, the rotational pivot point is out here, set up this way. So, to all the gunsmiths out there who have said in the past that they won't do barrel nuts, and I've never had anyone explain it, they don't have to explain it. But from what I've found right now, I'm done. My next step is to, on some of the barrels that I already have set up, I'm going to degrease the threads and epoxy them, just so I can shoot the barrels up. Because epoxy doesn't scare me anymore. I can now, epoxy fails at between 250 and 350 degrees, and I have ways of heating anything to that. Now on a glue end, that does create a problem. So I'm going to have to epoxy the barrel nut with the barrel on a fixture and then turn around and screw it in the gun. But all of these things are my problem. So, thank you for standing by. That is the end of that testing segment.